Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 15 Pro Max and compare it against the iPhone 13 Pro Max and see which particular iPhone is a better one for you. Now, the first thing I will definitely tell you is that there's going to be advantages and disadvantages between both. I will tell you, going to the 15 Pro Max, if you have all the money in the world, is a better iPhone for sure. I'm sure you're going to have a great time using it. But the 13 series, especially with the 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max, are such solid iPhones. I've had such amazing times with them. If you're in the market, you can't really go wrong with buying a 13 Pro Max still, but definitely the 15 Pro Max is the better one. I'd recommend probably a majority of people to buy. If you want to pick up either one of these phones though, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, the iPhone 13 Pro Max on the front had a 6.7-inch Super Retina Extra OLED display, and it's a very, very good panel. I love that panel a lot, and I think Apple did a tremendous job with that specific display. Is it perfect? No. There's no such thing as a perfect display, but I do think at the end of the day, Apple did a really good job, and I still think it holds up quite well from that specific perspective. Now, on the iPhone, we're still getting the notch and everything, so there's not really a massive change there, but like I said, it's still a very good panel, and I think Apple did a great job with that. On the iPhone 15 Pro Max this time around, we do have a little bit of a different type of design. So this time around, we do have the iPhone, with a 6.7-inch Super Retina Extra OLED display, same thing as before, but we are getting that dynamic island this time around. So that is another kind of change that we have here. So personally for me, like I said before, I like having that type of technology. I like having, a dynamic island. It looks very nice, and I still think it holds up very, very well from that, specific perspective as well. Is it perfect? No, but it's still a very good panel, and I would definitely tell you at the end of the day, you're getting a very solid panel on the iPhone 15 Pro Max than the 13 Pro Max, but there's still lots of overlap here for sure. Now, on top of that, both of them have kind of the same type of styling, but you are getting this kind of curved architecture now on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The 13 Pro Max didn't really have it, so that's kind of like another minor thing to keep in mind there too. On the bottom though, this is probably a really big difference. So you were actually getting USB-C on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, where the 13 Pro Max has Lightning. So this is honestly a pretty big change here. One of the biggest changes we've seen probably from Apple in a very long time. So that in and of itself could be a very, very big change here. So if you like USB-C, then that specific iPhone is going to have it. But if you don't really care, then Lightning is still good. Lightning is still good for now, but definitely with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, that is the future. And that is the one I'd probably recommend a majority of people to actually go ahead and kind of purchase, to be honest. Now, on top of that, with the iPhone, 15 Pro Max, this one does not have a SIM card tray. The iPhone 13 Pro Max actually has a SIM card tray. So that might be like another thing to kind of keep in mind there as well. But beyond that, that's really the main differences, at least on the exterior. They both have frosted glass backs, they both have triple camera setups and LiDAR sensors, both have MagSafe capability, both have IP certification. There's still lots of overlap here for sure. But like I said, you're definitely getting, in my opinion, overall the better performing, better build quality, better iPhone in general on the iPhone 15 Pro Max than the 13 Pro Max. But the other thing to keep in mind is that a lot of people were stating that the iPhone 15 Pro Max isn't as durable as the older iPhones. So that could be another big complaint here that a lot of people may actually experience. So keep that in mind, but that's kind of how both these iPhones kind of hold up on the outside. Now, in terms of the camera quality, this is another kind of big difference here. So like I stated before, both of them have triple camera setups on the outside. So that's nice. So visually, you would just look at it and they will look like basically the same type of iPhone. But when you look at the megapixel count and everything, you are getting actually higher megapixels on the iPhone 15 Pro Max than on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So both have wide ultra-wide telephoto lenses, but on the iPhone 15 Pro, or the 15 Pro Max, you are now getting a 48 megapixel main lens, where the iPhone 13 Pro Max has that 12 megapixel main lens. So that's another slight difference here. Again, it would not be the reason I would go and upgrade from a 13 Pro Max to a 15 Pro Max. I think the 13 Pro Max camera is still very good, but that was one difference, or the main difference that we kind of see here. You're still getting 4K at 60 on the front and the back. You're still getting, I guess, the next generation portraits with focus and depth control. Are people going to use it? Probably not, but it's still a nice to have feature. I would say another big difference though here is that you are able to zoom in noticeably more on the iPhone 15 Pro Max than on the 13 Pro Max. So the 13 Pro Max, you could get up to like 15x zoom. So 0.5x, 1x, and then 3x. So, but you can do like 5x, times that. With the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you are able to go ahead and get up to 25x zoom. So that in and of itself is a very, very big change. And that is actually probably one of the bigger differences here, to be honest. So once again, when you're getting a device like this, you are actually getting a better camera with a way, better amount of zoom, way more zoom you can zoom in. So that's kind of an advantage on the 15 Pro Max. But like I said, I still think the 13 Pro Max is a great camera, and you can't really go wrong with that one either. So that kind of covers it up there. Now in terms of software and longevity, you are going to be getting a longer lasting phone from the 15 Pro Max. That's just kind of how it works. That's kind of what happens. We've seen this time and time again, and I'm actually very happy about that. You know, the fact that we're getting this type of capability here is very cool, and that makes me very happy. With the 13 Pro Max though, this phone is still going to be supported for many, many years to come. This device literally is kind of just getting started. I mean, we're probably not even halfway through the life cycle of this phone yet. So you're going to be here for iOS 18, 19, 20, 21. I mean, this thing's going to be lasting for so many more years. Most people will probably upgrade their phone before this phone is done getting software support. So just keep that in the back of your head. The 15 Pro Max is quite literally just getting started. Like iOS 17 is the first version of software this thing got. So the 15 Pro Max is going to be here for many, many years. The 13 Pro Max, like I said, just getting started. You're really not going to be missing out on too much between these two for the next couple of years anyways. So that kind of covers it up there. Now in terms of the performance side of things, the iPhone 13 Pro Max has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6GB of RAM, where the iPhone 15 Pro Max has that Apple A17 Pro chip inside of it with 8GB of RAM. Now here's the thing with the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the 13 Pro Max. The 15 Pro Max has the first Pro chip we've ever seen inside of an iPhone. So this is kind of a big deal here, I would say, because Apple's probably going to spend a lot of money and effort into making that Pro chip the best chipset ever. So that's just kind of what happens here. Apple kind of does that year after year after year. So that's essentially what's going to happen in this specific case as well. With the A15 chip inside of the iPhone 13 Pro Max though, that is still an excellent chipset. I've had great success with that chip, and in fact, I use an iPhone 13 Pro as my main phone now until I switched to the 15 Pro, and I've been using it for 2 years now. Very solid phone. I've loved it a lot. It's been through so much with me, and I personally enjoy it like crazy. With the 15 Pro Max, I feel like this is definitely going to be a step up. It's going to be a faster phone, but from all the speed tests I've done and everything, there's still lots of overlap between these two devices. So I'm not really missing out on that much between these if I'm being completely honest with you, but I still feel like at the end of the day, both these phones are great. I've had an amazing time with them, and performance-wise, the 15 Pro Max is going to be better, but the 13 Pro Max is still a very, very good performing phone as well. Apple also kind of suggests that the battery life on the iPhone 15 Pro Max is better by an hour than the 13 Pro Max. I don't even think that's going to be that big of a difference here. Like, you're really going to be getting almost the same type of battery. The 15 Pro Max might be better because it's newer, but over time it's probably going to even out if I'm being honest. So to kind of sum up this whole entire comparison, what I will tell you is that you are getting a better phone on the 15 Pro Max. You're getting that dynamic island, you're getting that new action button, you're getting USB-C, better cameras, better performance, longer lasting phone, basically a decent upgrade overall. Like, this is actually a very good upgrade going from a 13 Pro Max to the 15 Pro Max. But if you don't really care about USB-C or having a faster phone, like if the 13 Pro Max still sounds good to you, then by all means keep it. I'm not the person to kind of suggest either to like, oh, just keep waiting until the next iPhone comes out. If you want to upgrade, I would say this is a really good upgrade for sure. But I would kind of look at it from a price per value standpoint. The 13 Pro Max is a much better deal than the iPhone 15 Pro Max. If you're coming from an iPhone 10 or an iPhone 10s or 11 or something, I think the 13 Pro Max makes more sense because you can buy that phone for like probably $700 or something like that, even cheaper than that, and still get a very solid phone. The 15 Pro Max, I think, is probably the better phone for sure, but I think the better value is probably the 13 Pro Max. So that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.